Hey guys, it's Gary. Back for the first time in a month. This is the longest stretch I've ever gone without recording a video. Lots of things going on. None of them good. Got the glare from the glasses. Still at the job. Started January, first week of January. Still there doing it day by day. Every day I go in and I'm thinking, if I have a bad day, is this my last day? But obviously I need money. And I'm not making much. And every day, I come home and I got little cuts all over my fingers and blood everywhere, it's a mess. Funny thing is, I'm like ruining clothes. And it's weird, I got like mud on my jeans that I wear to work and stuff like that. And it doesn't wash out, it's just dirt, Take it out of the washing machine when I wash it, and you can still see the dirt on there. So once this job is over, it's like even the clothes that I bought that were brand new are unusable. Worst day that I had, well, I had many bad days. I had one day, I don't think I talked about this, it's been a month since I did the video. I know I wrote about it in response to some people. I had a Sunday that I had to work that was 1 degree below zero at 8 o'clock in the morning when I went out and started. It was a tough day. Thousands and thousands of people do this job, but they're either much more experienced at doing it and they're near retirement when they're my age, or they're very young and very resilient. I don't know how people do it, honestly. I have a day off today for something that's a bit rare. I've been working generally about 6 days a week and still not getting overtime because a lot of the days you end up working like 6 or 6.5 hours. So it doesn't get over the 40-hour part. And they send me all over. Sundays are particularly bad days. It would be nice to have Sundays off. Where do I start? I don't know. I just don't know. I was scheduled I actually had, they generally don't let people have off weekends like Saturdays and stuff like that. Now, flashing is the TV. I put my TV on for light when I do these videos, so when you see flashing, that's what you're seeing. They generally don't let people have Saturdays off unless they're all staffed up, and they've been kind of jerking me around, and it's like just about every day I have to call them at 8 in the morning to find out what time to come in. They schedule me, but they scheduled me to come in like 11 o'clock in the morning, which is ridiculous. So they're like, oh, call us in the morning, we'll tell you when to come in. So you have to wake up as if you're going in, and then only to find out you're not going in for another 2 hours or so and could have slept later. And forget about scheduling days off. There's a scheduled calendar up at work. You might look at it when you go into the office before you leave for the day, and you'll see, 2 days from now I have a day off. You go out, you do your rounds, come back at the end of the day, they've changed it. Or they might leave it, and then you go home, maybe, thinking you have the day off, and that morning they call and tell you to come in. That's happened. As a matter of fact, this is the first day I had scheduled off that didn't happen. I didn't get a phone call today. Last Saturday, I called in as usual at 8 in the morning, and they're like, we might not need you today. If I don't call you back by 8:35, you have the day off. Great, thanks. If I knew that, I would have gotten something done Friday night that I wouldn't normally do, like food shop or something, but I generally don't like to do that on a day after work, do chores, when you have to go in the next day. I usually just come home, take a shower, eat dinner, basically go to bed. My sleep schedule is so messed up. I'm not like normal people, obviously. It's like if I get home at, 5:30, I'll take a shower, get something to eat, put the TV on, review the news and stuff like that I've recorded during the day. And a lot of times I'll be asleep by 8 o'clock at night, if not earlier. And I'll sleep for a few hours, 2-3 hours, and I'll wake up and I'll get up, and then I'll be up. And this isn't by choice. This is the way my schedule seems to fall. And I'll be up till 2 or 3 in the morning, go back to sleep, and then I'll sleep till just generally right around 7 or so. It's weird. Now, yesterday, I actually came home knowing I had today off, and I did my usual sleep schedule thing. I fell asleep at like maybe 9 or so. Woke up at like midnight, and I had eaten dinner. And I was just in the mood to cook and eat cheesy things on. So like at midnight, which I wouldn't normally do if I had to go to work today, I wouldn't have done this. I got up and I started cooking and eating a whole big ass meal. Now, I generally eat a little, like a couple muffins or something like that for breakfast before I go off for the day because I can't eat all day. I'm too busy working. I don't get a lunch. And so I don't eat at all while I'm at work. So a lot of times in the morning, I'm not really in the mood to eat anything, but I eat stuff just so I have energy. And knowing that I'm not going to eat until 6 or so at night, whatever. And I had a tough day Monday. Monday was just, everything was not going well. And I didn't finish work till like 10 to 7, quarter to 7 at night. Even my boss came out and found me out on the road where I was. Said, you got to get back to the office. I was just finishing up then. It's hard. It was dark then already. This is not for me. And I'm making about half the money that I made. And I've been bitching about this a lot. Who's interested? Nobody. Well, anyway, my buddy Carm's back. So that's some good news. That made me feel better. Carm takes his annual vacation, goes away, stays off the internet, recharges his batteries. And there's a whole bunch of us, Rob in Boston especially, and myself, that really miss Carm's videos. And I have to say, too, this has been obviously not a fun time for me, even though it's been all of 10 weeks now that I've had this job. It feels, and I have the pains, trust me, of that it's been much longer. And Rob in Boston, Panique's 1960, has just been the best friend, sending me messages very frequently, checking up on me. How you doing, Gary? And let me tell you, I cannot express in words what a difference that made to me. Because, I thought of that a lot when I was out there. When I'm out there working, somebody's, my buddy's concerned, thinking of me. He sent me a lot of messages. He spent a lot of time typing me messages of encouragement, which I very much needed and which I thought of. Especially the tougher the day got, the more often I thought of, Rob being so kind and sending me those messages, and the support of the VC brothers in general. But specifically Rob, a lot of effort, man. I really appreciate it. I can't say enough how many times, every day that I thought of that. Great guy. After a few weeks of doing this job, I began to get knee pain. I fell a couple times on the ice, being outside. Landed on my knee a couple times, and my right knee especially started swelling up, and I thought it was from the fall. I couldn't get to the doctor it was over a month that I dealt with it. But, it was swollen, and even when I was off it, just laying in bed at night, it would throb with pain, even though, maybe I hadn't walked on it for a couple hours. I had finally, when I went to my doctor, first time I've been to him in a year because I haven't had health coverage. I bought some through this job, though I don't know. I'm not sure how much it's going to cover. I'm expecting some nasty bill to come along from the doctor. He took an x-ray and said both of my knees have deteriorated. Now, not necessarily as a result of this job, but this job is making it worse because I'm starting to walk with a limp now. So apparently they were on their way to deteriorating. And you get by, okay, if you're working an office job sitting on your butt all day, as I've been doing for the last 30-some-odd years. But walking around and carrying stuff upwards towards 60 pounds is pretty much messing my knees up. Hurts all the time when I walk. Even if I loved this work, which I don't, physically I wouldn't be able to keep on doing it. I'm just, I'm trying to save enough money to pay the standard bills, and I'm trying not to spend too much on myself, especially considering I'm making half of my salary that I used to make. However, I'm still spending money on myself, and I shouldn't be doing this. I spent $20 today on beer, not drinking at a bar, but I'm not a real big, heavy alcohol drinker, and there's some periods where I have an entire year where I barely have a glass of wine or beer or anything. But since I started this job, I found the need to partake in wine, generally sangria and stuff like that, because I'm not a sophisticated drinker, and lots of this. And so, let me see, I bought a 24-pack today. I don't know why, but for some reason, I've got this mental thing. I can only drink beer out of bottles. I will drink cans of soda or anything else. I think it's a mental thing. I don't know. There's something that, in my mind, I taste a metallic taste whenever I drink beer out of a can, and I'm too lazy to pour it into a glass. So I buy bottles. It's probably cheaper to buy it in cans. I should look into that. But I bought a 24-pack today, which I shouldn't have done. $20. And I have been, back when I had a real job, I wouldn't say I made great money, but, I didn't make great money. I made a semi-livable wage. I had the choice with my additional extra income, whatever you want to call it, from my old job. I could either go out and eat and, grab food out, or I could buy CDs and music. So I really, even when I had my old job, I really rarely went out to eat. Instead, I took that money and I bought, albums and music with, because it was an either-or thing. And so, as a result, I was buying, several albums a week. Any hardcore music fan knows how hard a habit that is to break, more than anything else, in terms of spending money on things you don't need to exist to get by. Excuse me. Being very unprofessional in this video, and I'm trying to keep it. I got so much to talk about, I shouldn't have been away from a month, but I just didn't. I don't know. I thought of it every day. Got to make a video. It's going to be whining and complaining. However, what have I been up to? Did I show this book, Gene Clark from the Byrds? I'm not a Byrds fan, really. I'm a fan of artist biographies, not guys who are rich who really don't have to work for a living. Gene Clark wrote some songs for the Byrds and had an income from those albums because they sold well. Generally, this isn't somebody I would read about because there were periods where he didn't have to work in order to make a living because the old records were selling enough. And then times when he did have to work. A tragic story. I think he was 46 when he died. Severe alcohol problem he had. He messed with drugs a little bit, but I think it was the alcoholism really and the smoking cigarettes that really caused his early demise. Depression because when he left the Byrds after a few years, his solo career never took off, even though he was the best songwriter in the Byrds out of the 5 original guys that started the band, but never really got, as a solo artist, the credit he deserved. And just a story of, him trying to establish his solo career one album at a time. And even when the critics loved the albums, none of his solo albums really sold that well. So he had bouts with depression and, relationship problems and, marriages that broke up, and he had a couple kids. And, was doing performances drunk and stuff like that and kind of messed up his reputation. And then died at 46. I have like a page and a half left to read. This has been slow going because I'm kind of physically tired from work, so I don't like to it's nice to read when you're physically tired from work just before you fall asleep, but you don't absorb it, so I tend not to. So I've been reading it slowly and looking around because I know I have books here I haven't read. And actually, this one I held on to for like 3 years before I started it myself because I wasn't a big Byrds fan, really. I like the 60s era. But, once you get started, you get into it. So I've been reading that. Music-wise, it's funny, I was thinking, in the old days when I had my regular job, I could never go back and show you, here's all the CDs that I bought in the last 3 months or so, because it would be a huge amount. But looking at my recent acquisitions, I realized I was going back all the way till like October. I don't think I've shown most of these CDs I'm about to show. Pretty sure I haven't. I'm not showing stuff I got for Christmas because I did show that, and I haven't really talked about like the Wayne Shorter box set that I got for Christmas. The music really keeps going up and down the volume. I hope you can hear a little bit of it at least in the background. I'm messing with it. When you see me do that, I'm messing with the volume on my stereo. Trying to get it so it's there a little bit, but not overwhelming. So I'm not talking about my Christmas swag that I got for Christmas, and I haven't really spoken too much really about the Wayne Shorter box set that I got. I will probably at some future time. I listened to it a whole lot. Right now I'm not listening to it, so it's not really the time to talk about it. A couple things from old videos. When you have one of those albums that you haven't listened to for years, and something makes you mention it, like this one, Yoshio Chin Suzuki. I talked about this in one of my last videos. And Carm then went out and found a copy and bought it and liked it very much. And as a result of somebody else getting into it, I end up listening to it again. So I pulled out a couple of old things that I've been listening to a lot lately. This is one of them. Going back to things that I've bought, I know I'm missing some. My old videos, I did a lot of preparation for days in advance, and looking little factoids up and to make sure I was correct and stuff like that. But I don't generally have time to do this. This is the first day I've had off in this job since I started in January that I was home all day. I went out, I did a little bit of running around, but generally because I'm getting 1 day a week off and my washer and dryer is broken, I generally go to my sister's house to do my laundry. It's a half-hour away without traffic. So I go there and I'm there 4 or 5 hours, maybe longer, doing laundry and then driving again. And I'm afraid I'm going to start having those problems with the things slowing down and speeding up. Because I see
the screen freezing. I'm not going to start doing this one over again though. So talk about my laundry. So generally it ends up, being, like an 8-hour affair. And I'm gone on my only day off a good chunk of the time. Well, I happen to have this past Saturday off. I did my laundry then, and today is Wednesday. And so I didn't need to go again. So it's the first day I think I've had off where I've been home and didn't do laundry since I started this job. It's a weird feeling. I even took a nap today, something I always used to do on the weekend at my old job. Getting back to music, nothing is more... I have this compilation, old compilation from the IC record label, a German company, I think it was, that Klaus Schulze started, but was taken over by a couple other guys. Klaus Schulze sold it early on. And there was a track by this guy, Alex Farhoud, Farhoud, Farhoud. That's his name. That's a back cover. Autofocus isn't working, so let me manually focus it. Manual focus isn't working. There you go a little bit. Alex Farhoud, who apparently, I don't know, they don't give you a lot of information about him. He's apparently the composer, but he wrote the material, but it doesn't appear that he plays it. There was one track off of an old compilation that I've always loved, and I decided to try to hunt down this album, long out of print, but there were copies around cheaply, very cheaply. I think it was $1.09 plus $4 shipping and handling or something like that. So I bit the bullet, obviously not a lot of money. Spent the money, and it's a weird album because other people seem to be performing music written by this guy Alex Farhoud. And the one track I heard I really liked. And I get the CD and I put it in my CD player to dump it into my computer, and the computer won't read it. This is and look at the CD. I didn't notice that when I first put it in. That's obviously not the front of it. That's the actual CD side. The front of it looks relatively normal. But the back CD side, which I didn't even look at, I'm sure you can pick that up. You can see that. It looks cloudy. It looks like it's been rained on or something. And this was sealed, but I have a disturbing inkling that somebody resealed it, that this was a used CD that got... somebody had a shrink wrap machine or something. And as a result, it's junk. I can't read it. It won't play. So I went looking for another copy that I've ordered. And I'll talk about it maybe when it comes.
that I ended up spending about $7 for. Other recent acquisitions, I have one credit card with points on it. So generally, I take my points and I buy music with it. I wish I would say exclusively with points, but I don't. Every once in a while, I see something I have to have. Where do I start? I got a bunch of things. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Jade Warrior, kind of a 70s band. This was the only album I had by them. It's an anthology, a 2-disc anthology. I don't know. To me, it's kind of like a progressive rock, but basically it was two guys that were the core of the band, with lots and lots of guest musicians filling out. The two guys that were essentially a guitarist and a flute player, who also, they doubled on keyboards and stuff like that, and they would bring in rhythm sections and things like that. Lots of additional musicians. A lot of some world music elements to it, but basically coming from a progressive rock vein. A lot of people really love this band. This is the only album I had by them, but it includes material from 4 different albums of theirs. I haven't listened to this in years, and I got to put it on. It just didn't click with me. There's something real dated about it. Perhaps not loose enough for me, too tightly constructed. I didn't get the vibe that there's really any room for improvisation on a lot of the stuff I heard. I'll have to give it another play. But their least, oddly enough, I came across totally accidentally, their least popular album from their fan base. And I think their fan base is very much into the rock edge, rhythms and drums and electric guitar solos. Their least favorite album, I stumbled across on YouTube. The whole album, it's 3 pieces, about 43 minutes, called At Peace. This was an album that didn't feature any additional musicians. It was only, apparently, the 2 founding members. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Another guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Tony Duhigg, D-U-H-I-G, who was the guitarist of the band, who played synthesizers mainly on here. I hear very little guitar unless there's a guitar synth on here. I hear more really keyboard, very synthesizer heavy. And John Field, wonderful, lovely flute player who's still around. Tony Duhigg, this was the last album he made before he passed away of a sudden heart attack. Probably brought on by stress. And they recorded this album. See, some people are being very snarky about it, like in 86. And the CD didn't get released to 89, so I don't know if the album came out initially on vinyl, because it's certainly the vinyl age is a track that's like 21 minutes long, and then two shorter tracks that equal about 20 minutes together. Recorded in 86, and some people were saying it was aimed at the meditational New Age market, but I think those are people that don't like New Age music or don't like this album because it doesn't have the guitar solos, the drums, the bass, that kind of thing. To me, this album has aged better than their albums that are critically lauded, because, and I think it's the only album they recorded that was just the 2 core members, apparently. I heard it on YouTube. I loved it so much that I actually copied the audio from YouTube. It's a pain in the ass to do this, and broke it up into the 3 individual tracks. But I had to have the CD. Now the CD only came out in '89, so a few years after the album came out. So I don't know if it was released maybe on cassette and vinyl, and initially in '86, or whether they held on to the material for some years. But apparently, well, I had to have it. Apparently, I had to go to Discogs to get the information on the album, because there's very little information on here. For some reason, they don't list the fact that it's only the 2 primary musicians, Tony Duhigg and John Field, who play on this album without any guests. I thought when I bought the CD that it would have, the booklet. There is no booklet. It's just a 1-sheet thing. I thought they would have a lot more information credit-wise. There is some stuff on the back here, but they don't actually list the musicians. They just say all music composed and played by Jade Warrior, recorded at the Rosemary Cottage, Langport, Somerset, which is in England. And they wrote a little quote on the back, which is really the only information they give. They don't actually even say when it was recorded. You have to kind of look on Discogs to pick that up. Because the quote was from 1986, which apparently was when the album was recorded, even though it came out in 89. It says, "This new music reflects the rolling landscapes of the countryside where we now live. We are writing for the first time by looking out the window." Music, which is what's playing in the background, if you can hear it. Fantastic. So beautiful. And there's a danger, especially from my perspective, of early 80s synthesizers sounding awful. So I don't know if they're using the early 80s digital synthesizers. I get a feeling they're not. I think they're still using analog synthesizers. Even though the album is very synthesizer heavy, the entire base of the album is synthesizer. I don't even hear guitar unless it's mixed in, or they're using a guitar synth, which probably not, which Tony DeHaeg, which is essentially a guitarist. But the synthesizer sounds don't vary a lot throughout the whole album. It's about 43 minutes. But it's a really beautiful, very soft string sound. Absolutely lovely. I could listen to that particular setting on a keyboard for hours. So they found a few good sounds, which lead me to think this may be an analog synth that they were using. Or if they were using a digital synth, they found a few good samples, because it's aged really well. I don't think you could really tell when it was from by listening to it. And, so you have this wonderful, basically a few sustained chords with little individual melody lines. I don't know what I call them, melody lines, kind of coming in and out of the music mix. And then John Field playing beautiful flute, one of my favorite instruments. And this was recorded not for one of their regular labels. It was a little record label in England called Earth Sounds, which is why, and the record was in print for a very, very short period of time. Considering my financial situation, it's crazy, but it's very hard to get a physical copy of this. This is a used copy that I bought, because new copies, if you can get them, I don't know if I saw any, but if you can get them, probably a couple $100. I think this was in print for a very short time. The record label was very small, and I don't think or know that the record label exists anymore. I think I spent $23 or $24. It's the most I've ever paid for certainly a used disc. Almost, I may have paid that much for a couple very rare single CDs, Japanese imports or something in the past. But certainly the most I've ever paid for a used item of any type. I just had to physically have a copy of this. This is on YouTube, the full album, so you can experience it. Just type in Jade Warrior at Peace, and somebody created a playlist with the 3 pieces, and see if you don't agree. It's one of those stupid things. I had to have this, and I have to make a will, which I haven't done yet. I have to leave this to somebody who would really appreciate it. It's that good. It's such a great album. I'm all over the place with this video, and unfortunately, Tony DeHaeg, the guitarist and the guy that really started the band, died. I think he saw the release of the album. Maybe he didn't. I'm not sure. Had a heart attack. He was having a hard time in life. He had a house in one part of England, and he decided, which was apparently paid for, he decided to mortgage it to attempt to make a living. He moved to I think somewhere outside of London or just closer to London, and bought a recording studio or a combination recording studio house to live in an attempt to get a solid income. And, hoping that the recording studio would take off and people would come in and book time, and that's how he would make a living and pay the mortgage on the place. And apparently it didn't work, and the recording studio in the house, I think, that was attached to it got repossessed or something. He was going through a tough time, and he ended up dying of a heart attack right in that same period. Very sad, very talented guy, which leads me to think that it was probably as a result of those difficult times he was going through and all the stress that put on him. I didn't want this video to go too long, so I think I'm going to stop it here, and I got a whole bunch of stuff to show. But I will say, this is, you know, I've bought a few things recently, either cheaply or with the credit card points I had. But this is the star of the show, kind of. This is such a beautiful, fantastic album. And look for it on YouTube so you can hear it for yourself for free. And you can see why I blew $24 on a used copy. Okay, I got a small stack of things that I bought that I'll going back to like October till currently. But I you know, half hour's enough, right? So I'll do another video very soon. You know, but to get in a regular rhythm. Thanks to everybody that sent me very kind words, especially Rob Paniques. And Carm, we're waiting for a video from you, buddy. Oh yeah, Jeff Vinyl Spin and Rob Paniques. I think it was the same day. Neither one of those guys have done a video for a while, for quite a while, and I miss seeing them on their videos. Even though we can have email contact, it is nice to see people on video. And I think it was on exactly the same day, after a long period of not making videos, that both Rob and Jeff Vinyl Spin did a video. And it was almost like a Christmas present, especially, and that was about, I want to say about a week ago, maybe. And I've watched them both several times. It was so nice seeing those. Just a weird coincidence that they both ended up doing videos at the same time. And during my dinner times, or any time that I eat, I've got a little small Chromebook computer in my kitchen. I've been watching Carm's old videos. Things there that I forgot were in there that are weird coincidence things. So I've been visiting with Carm, even though he hasn't really been around. Okay, I'm going to save my recent acquisitions for another video in a couple days or very soon. Haven't done any music. Do I think about it every day, many times a day? I don't see me doing any music until which sucks, because I've got 2 CDs that are 75 to 80% done. I just don't see me doing it as long as I have this job. I never get 2 days consecutively off. I generally don't get more than 1 day a week off. And it's just, I can't, if I can't say, oh, I've got 3 hours, let me go write music. I really need to decompress, to relax, to get into the mode. So, if and when I can get a normal job with 2 consecutive days off, and I can get into a rhythm, I could see maybe, getting back into writing again. I don't know. I pulled out a couple things that I had recorded years ago that were tracks that didn't have a home. I was considering putting out a short EP of a few pieces that I recorded. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know about the pieces, there's a few good pieces that I was going to, put out an EP, 20, 30 minutes or something. But I don't know, I don't know if it's really worth, don't know if it's worth doing. I'm going to have to run the idea and maybe get a few people to critique the pieces and see what they think. Whether it's worthy of release or whether I should just wait until I have a time when fuller length albums, I could finish what I'm working on or start new things or whatever. I'll definitely finish what I'm working on, because I did put a lot of effort into the last 8 months of writing some stuff that I can't finish now. Okay, 35 minutes almost. That's long enough. I'm going to be back soon. Who knows? I might record something even later on and hold on to it for a few days. I'm not sure. It's weird though. I got a few new subscribers in the last few weeks, in the last really couple weeks, just a few, 3 or 4. It's weird to get new subscribers when you haven't recorded a video. It seems like the longer I stay away, the more new subscribers I get. So if I don't record a video for 6 months, who knows? I might get over 100 subscribers. I don't know. It's weird. You generally wouldn't see an uptick, even just by a few, simply because, I don't know who's going to come across old videos. Usually people will catch, for whatever reason, a new video that's linked somehow to someone else's videos via a suggestion. I don't know why several new people have subscribed when I haven't done a video for a month. Don't know. Jade Warrior at peace. Too bad. This is so sad, to find out. Oh, George Martin died, found out today. Beatles producer. Wanted to give a big up. Everybody's dying. He had, I'm not a Beatles fan. I was when I was a kid. But George Martin also was, unlike most producers, a lot of producers are just businessmen. And some of them are basically there to get the band together and put that album out and do it on schedule and whatever, steer the direction of the music in some cases. But George was a very learned musician, apparently, which was a different spin. Very kind of educated guy, interesting guy. And in addition to the Beatles, he produced other artists that they're certainly never going to mention on TV now that they're, talking about him. But I recall reading years ago that he said he had done a Paul Winter Consort album. I want to say around 1970 or so. He had produced that. He said that was one of the best, if not the best, albums he ever produced, which, of course, they'll never mention in the media. He was very impressed by the musicianship and by the way the album turned out. And I believe that was Paul Winter Consort during a time when at least some of the members of Oregon were in the band, the future members of Oregon. Pretty sure Ralph Towner was on that album. I have to look. I'm not sure which album it was that he produced. One of the band's best-known albums from the late 60s, early 70s period, though, was produced by George Martin. Fairly sure Ralph Towner, at very least, was in the band at the time, if not Paul McCandless as well. Colin Walcott, possibly. So just wanted to make mention of that. I have, now that I do have a George Martin book. I remember reading, I have obviously written a number of years ago, and I don't know who wrote it. I don't think it may have been George Martin himself. I'm going to have to dig that out. I still got it around here somewhere. I bought that and read that maybe 10 years ago. He had basically been retired anyway in recent years. He was in failing health. He was 90 years old. Actually, same age as my dad. My dad's turning 90 next month. Up for George Martin. George Martin. Just another one in a long list of people we're losing. Okay, a guy... Oh, it took too long. Too long. Okay, I hope you're enjoying the background music, what you can hear of it. Jade Warrior at peace. Don't think I'm going to have copyright problems having that in the background as I've had in the past, because people have the full album up and they have for a while and nobody's taking it down. And my tiki lights, they have not been. I don't think I've plugged them in and had them up since the last time I made a video. Well, they've been up, but I haven't plugged them in. So maybe I'll get some positive tiki vibe power or something like that. I need whatever I can get. Okay, guys. I went over long, but at least it's not an hour and a half. I'll do another video of my recent find soon, and it will be probably even less together than this one because I just can't do preparation anymore. I hope everybody's doing well. Hi to everybody. Ron Anderson, Axel in Germany, Andrew out in California, Jeff Final Spin. I don't know if Jeff hasn't been on the internet much lately. Chris Cole, if you're still out there. I don't know if Chris Cole's watching videos or not. He's another guy who hasn't done one for a while. Rob Panique's my good buddy Carm. Glad you're back, buddy. And that's it. I got to stop at 40 minutes. Otherwise, I have to slap myself. Yeah, I got plenty in my mind that I should be talking about, but I won't be away for a month again. Unless I'm in the hospital or something. Okay, guys. Have a great whatever week. And I will be back pretty soon. Take care.